Suspects expose the flaws of our nation's immigration system. Iowa Senator Chuck Grassley brought up the possibility during a Capitol Hill interview on newly unveiled immigration legislation. Listen.
While we don't yet know the immigration status of people who have terrorized the communities in Massachusetts, when we find out, it will help shed light on the weaknesses of our system.
Raises a larger question. Could the Boston terror attack ultimately reshape our immigration reform? Let's ask Texas Congressman Louie Gohmert. He's joining us this morning from Philadelphia. Nice to see you this morning, Congressman.
It's great to see you. Thank you. Great to be with you.
Let's dive more deeply into that question. We look at these individuals who are here on a green card or other individuals who are here on a working visa. Does this now throw any sort of immigration reform into flux and raise new questions?
Well, I hate to point out again, as Senator Grassley did, because he's taken a lot of abuse for it, and I understand for those that wanted to ram through an immigration bill that people wouldn't have a chance to know what was in it. This is a very inconvenient thing, but the fact is, with the system the way it is, even with another country reporting that there's a potential radical problem here, we still didn't have the resources or the wherewithal to pick up these guys have been radicalized. And now you've got people saying we're going to throw millions more into a system that hasn't done a good job with what we had and expect all of a sudden that's going to make things better. To criticize Senator Grassley for pointing out the problem would be like trying to clean up a flood in a basement and water's flooding in through the windows, and Grassley says, hey, why don't we close the windows while we're cleaning up the mess? I mean, it's inconvenient, but we need to deal with these problems. And let me tell you one other thing. For the president to, in effect, figuratively be saying or taking the position, look, I'm using for leverage the fact that I am not doing my job to secure the border, but if you'll give amnesty to enough people, then I'll really and truly start securing the border. The good thing in the bill is that the president would start securing the border, but by golly, he needs to start doing that now. We don't need to overload an already problematic immigration system.
But Congressman, how does this case illustrate a porous border? I mean, these guys came in when they were 8 years old and 15 years old.
Right.
How would you change kids or teenagers coming in seeking asylum from a war-torn country? Wouldn't we still welcome people like that who want to get out of that situation? Wouldn't we still welcome them with open arms?
Yeah, Alisyn, this doesn't specifically point out a problem with the porous border. This points out the problem with the immigration system, where you had people before they were made legalized citizens. One was made a citizen September 11th last year. Before that, they were radicalized, and we didn't even have the wherewithal to make sure that we were not legalizing people that were going to hurt us. So that's really what this case points out as a flaw, not the porous border.
Here's the theme that I'm reading here, Congressman. Once you get hard to send you back. So we know in the case of the older suspect, now deceased, that not only did he get picked up on a charge of domestic abuse, he apparently beat up his girlfriend violently, but he also was reported by Russia to be an Islamic extremist. If we can't act on those two things, wife beater, potential terrorist, like what can we do about undesirable aliens here?
Exactly. And when I was a judge, we dealt with the same problem. There were people that were being not deported, were committing crimes, and then finally, eventually, they do something about it. But I was shocked, though, Tucker, when we found out a month or so, or I didn't know, that of all the federal prosecutions, 34.9% of the prosecutions these days are for people who have been deported and then come back in the country illegally. And, you know, I was looking at the article, the New York Times blasting Grassley. When I was an exchange student, I loved to read the New York Times. How sad. I found out when reading the article, they took a shot at me for pointing out we have people, radicals, coming in posing as Hispanics, and they're taking a shot at me for fear-mongering when all they had to do at the Times was send somebody to look online, and they would see that the FBI director said you have radical people coming from radical areas, taking Hispanic-sounding names, learning Spanish, coming in wearing clothes, trying to blend in with Hispanics, and they came after me. If those folks, gosh, how sad. If they just do their homework, Grassley would not be criticized so much, and they wouldn't have thrown me in for gratis. They would have understood the real problem here.
Congressman Louie Gohmert, thanks so much for joining us with your perspective on this. We will see where the immigration battle goes from here.
Thank you.
Thanks
for staying on top of this. You guys are doing good.
Thanks, Congressman. All right, let's get to your headlines right